Hey everybody, so today I'm posting this video is December. Sorry, the music in Universal Studios was far too loud and it was overpowering my voice. So I was saying that December 20th is a very difficult day for me now because 1 year ago I had my service dog stolen from me from somebody who I used to think was a good friend, but obviously was not. Now, this video is only 11 minutes and 20 seconds long. If I told you the entire story, the video would be well over an hour. So I'm going to try to tell you the shorter version of it. Basically, it started with my first dog named Lucky, who I had up until last year. After I adopted him from the Humane Society, I said that the second dog I would like to have is a female Rottweiler. The place where I used to live, there was a guy who had a female Rottweiler, and he was working all the time, and I was unemployed at the time. So I had him bring his dog over to play with my dog, and over time, she spent more and more time with me, and this former friend of mine actually was the person who helped get, her name was Maggie, the Rottweiler, helped get Maggie to become my dog. Now in this video I'm skipping over a lot of really important details because there are just too many and the video would be too long. This same person has a son. He had a male dog who is actually Stella's father because he decided to become a breeder, and Stella was part of one of those litters. I almost adopted Stella's mom, but that was a big mistake, unfortunately. Move forward to when Stella had her puppies. The reason why I have Stella is they made a deal with me that I can have Stella for free. She has to have a litter of puppies. He took care of the puppies at his house, but I would always check up on the puppies and Stella. One of the last times I went to check up on what puppies were finished or were still around, hadn't been adopted yet, I met another dog that he had adopted for the purpose of making puppies. Her name is Haley, and that's what this is about. Now, I ended up taking care of all of this guy's dogs here and there. Sometimes they asked me, sometimes I asked them. So I asked when he adopted this other dog, Haley, said, well, how long is it going to be before she comes over to my place? And shortly, like maybe not even a week later, he went out of town for a few days. So I was watching his dogs for him. And when he came back, he asked me if I wanted to spend a little more time with Haley. I said yes, with an exception of a few days, which is another detail I'm skipping over. I watched her for just slightly under 3 months until I went away for Christmas. And I asked this former friend of mine if she would watch Haley for 5 days. Oh, there's shadows. 5 days until I got back because I wouldn't be around and I couldn't bring Haley with me. So I already had an agreement with this guy that I could continuously watch his dog. It was his dog, not his mother's dog. So his mother, my former friend, had it, and I had a deal. It would only be 5 days, and I would get her back after that. I arrived back after the trip. She said I can't have her back. And when I was away, I realized how much she helps me and how much I missed her. Why I didn't figure that out over 3 months, I don't know. But I didn't. And over the course of 2015, there was a lot of back and forth of her letting me have Haley a little bit and then taking her back. And there were many, many times where she would message me and just say things that would get my anxiety spiked. There's a lot of details in here I'm skipping over because I don't want the video to become longer. including two of the dogs that this guy had that I got stuck with for months at a time. They knew that I really, really wanted and needed Haley, so they knew that they can get away with a lot of things, and I just put up with it. Go to the end of 2015, and they still owed me money for taking care of the puppies. I kept pushing and pushing. Eventually, they sent me a message that said that I can get the rest of my money, but they're coming to get Haley from me. And they said before that they were coming to take her, but it would only be for a few days. This was for good. So the very next day, I made sure I just wasn't, because they were coming the very next day to get her, I made sure I wasn't home. Because at that point, I had already put a microchip in her with my name. I already had her spayed, which they told me I could. But my vet said that they didn't want to spay her until they knew that she was up to date on her shots. So I had her vaccinated. And of course, that's in my name as well. So the county, I think to this day, still shows me as her registered owner, at least as of last month. I don't know if at some point they might have had her vaccinated again. So I had a lot of proof that she was my dog, including they told me many times that they wanted me to have her. And this woman, who was my former friend, told me she didn't want another dog. And there's other reasons that I know that this woman didn't want Haley, and Haley didn't want to live with this woman. So it went for about a week, and then the weekend came. Saturday, she called the police to try to scare me into giving her back. The officer told me that he couldn't force me to give her back, so I didn't. And then the next morning is when they hid and ran out towards me. They looked really, it was kind of pathetic. They knew that I had all the proof I needed, but they also knew that if they had her back in their possession, that they'd win. So that's what happened. And then a whole bunch of people promised and promised and promised and promised and promised me for several months I would definitely get her back. It was just a matter of time, and to not give up hope. Well, months later, they said, oh yeah, you're not going to get her back. So months of false hope, and then nothing. So here I am, a year later. And if you ever followed me on my Roddy Paws channel, you know that I moved to Orlando in July. It was not to be near the theme parks. It was not to work for Universal Studios. It was not to try to go to Halloween Horror Nights every single night of the event, which I almost did this year except for one night. These are all things that were just nice bonuses. I moved away because I wanted to move away from the people who took Haley from me, and from the people who promised I would get Haley back and just let me down. I'm no Superman, but this former friend of mine, I don't know how to describe it, is like kryptonite to me. And they know it, and I use that to their advantage. And even if I only had to talk to her to get her back, as dumb as it sounds, I don't think I could do it. I don't know how to describe it. It's a bad situation. So I wanted to move away from those people, the people who promised me things, and I was still living 2 miles away from where Haley lives. And when Haley lived with me, I took her to work. I took her over to Universal Studios. I only came here on vacation, so I didn't have time to go over to Disney, but I would have done that as well. I took her to Universal Studios on Halloween. She dressed up as a Minion, or I dressed her up as a Minion. And so today is going to be really tough. And you might say, well, go to Universal and ride your favorite ride. No, here you can see it doesn't work. I have tried coming up here the times that they took her from me last year, and gone on some fun rides or something, and yeah, it doesn't work. I'm still depressed. I can't get it out of my head. If I just it yeah, when I'm depressed, I'm depressed. And I can, I could go to the happiest place on earth, Disney World. Well, actually, my blockout dates are in effect. But even if they weren't, it wouldn't help. So, sorry, I'm not as excitable and have the personality of maybe the Tim Tracker or Kyle and the youth in the cheap seats. I try to be excited for you guys when I go to the theme parks, but without her, I just don't care about stuff. So, I've been to Disney and Universal a lot lately, and I have a lot of editing to do. So hopefully I'll go back to posting more regularly. It's a bit tough. I need to be spending all this time looking for a job, really. But thank you for watching this all the way through, and please exit to the gift shop. Shadows. Except when I was trying to make a shadow puppet. No. Yeah.